Welcome, episode 3, Grounded Football, Tottenham. Another victory at the weekend. Since we've started this, we're actually unbeaten in the Premier League. It could be to do with us, I don't know. But let's get going. Right, first guest, Jacob. How are
How's it
you,
going,
mate?
man? How you doing, mate? Yeah, all good, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad at all. You happy with the weekend?
Yeah, you can't complain. It weren't the best performance, but you know as well as I do, when Tottenham play badly, we normally lose. So for us to play badly and win, especially against Wolves, I'm all right with that, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Can't go wrong with that. Next guest, we've got Mark back as well. Mark, are you all right, mate?
All right, lads, how are you? Happy
Yeah,
Friday.
Happy Friday, mate.
Right, boys. There's only one place to start when it comes to Tottenham. You'd think the result and all that lot, but the vice captain, the number 10, the main man, come out yesterday. Was it Thursday? He came out Thursday. Said he's staying. That's it. Talk of a transfer done for this season anyway. We'll see what happens next summer. But Mark, are you happy that it's finally put to bed? We can crack on with the season now.
Oh, absolutely. Great news, wasn't it? Really happy. Where was I? You'll always live in the memory where certain dates will always be like, where was I? Where was I? And that's going to be one of them. No, I'm really happy with it. And, I know we'll get onto the game from last night, from Sunday, but even the 15 minutes that he came on, we just looked a different team, didn't we? And then last night again. So no, I think best news for this transfer window for me, that he's staying, and he looks happy. He looks very happy. So all I can say is, let's forget about what's happened over the last 4 or 5 weeks. We've all been a little bit annoyed what happened. Hopefully he's kind of learned his lesson, and I love Harry Kane, and I think it's great for Tottenham. And you know what? I hope he goes and scores 40 goals for us this season, and we go and do something. Just, let him win a trophy with us.
Yeah, definitely. Jacob, are you the same thoughts as Mark? Are you happy, or are you a bit? Would you rather got the 150 million and let Paratici rebuild in his own way?
For me, I was, it's weird because it's like I was kind of happy either way. Like, obviously, I'd prefer to keep Kane, but I'm not with Tottenham keeping unhappy players. But at the same time, Harry Kane's somebody that's going to guarantee us 35 goals. It would be very difficult for us to even sell him and go and find somebody else that was going to replace him. So the news was good because, we're going to keep that kind of caliber player. But at the same time, I take it with a pinch of salt. There's all this talk about him signing a new contract. Now we're going to give him more money, and the release clause is going to allow him to be able to leave should someone put the money in. But, as far as I'm concerned, it's good for us to keep him for a year, because without Harry Kane, as much as we had Son, you kind of thought, well, we'd be over the moon with top 6. Now that we keep Harry Kane, hopefully we get a couple of additions, and it makes it a little bit more interesting for the season.
Well, how much do you think the release clause will be next year? Obviously, a year older. You think it's going to drop to about 100 million? Obviously, he's happy. He's getting his 400 grand a week. A release clause. What's going to happen with him? Because obviously Haaland's got a release clause next season for 25 million less than what Kane's going to have, and Kane's obviously going to be 8 years older than Haaland at the time. It's not really hard to judge, is it? I personally can't see him getting his move now. What about you, Jacob? Do you think he'll actually get his move, or do you think he'll be with us now till he's finished in the game?
I think the release clause, if he's smart anyway, if his agent, apparently he's getting a new agent. So if he gets, he should do it staggered. So, if it's next season, 100 million, let's say, he's allowed to go. But then if it gets to the following season, then it reduces with his age, sort of thing. So I think that's what will happen, because if no one comes in for next season, then he's kind of stuck. But you've got to look at it the other way as well. Daniel Levy's he's famous for looking at players that are sort of 29, 30 and wanting his money back. Trippier had a dodgy season, but he had 3 really good ones with us. But because he was like sort of 28, 29, Daniel Levy went and got his money. the same with Dembele. He was like, for me, our most important player for a long time. And because he was old and had a couple of niggle injuries, Daniel Levy was over the moon to get his 15 million back. So I don't know. It's one of the ones. If he signs a new contract, I'm not going to be doing cartwheels because I know there's a release clause in there. If he signs a new contract without one, then we know we've got a world-class striker for a long time.
Yeah, Mark, what about you? How much do you think his release clause is going to actually be?
Well, let's put it this way. If he goes and knocks in 30, 35 goals this season, it's going to be worth 100, 120 million. I think the release clause will be between something like 75 and 100 if he does. But no one's come out and said he signed an extension. There's talk that I read somewhere that he's going to be paid a lump sum of £10 million or something. And that was part of the deal. Look, I'm with you, Ryan. I hope he stays for the next 3 or 4 years with us. Let him win something with us. But I still think it'll be around about 75, 100 million. Mm-hmm. But we'll get more for him if, what's he going to be? 28? He's still 28, so he might be 29. But if he bangs in 30 goals, 35 goals this season, if we win a trophy or if we perform really well, we finish top 4, you might just say, why not stay with us if he's on 400 grand? There's so many different permutations. I just want to get into the season now. I just want to, I want everybody to perform. We've had such a great start. So that's closed now. I don't want to talk about Harry Kane going now. He's here. He's smiling. He's celebrating when he scores. Yeah, I think a happy Kane is just amazing for us.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. I mean, got a comment here from the legend that is Latimus Prime. I'll send it straight to you, Jacob. Do you think something could happen late in the window? And could Man City actually come back in for Kane now Ronaldo's gone to the other Manchester side?
No, I don't think so. It's like we've got how many days? We've got 4 days. The thing is, though, the way the window's gone, nothing shocks you. Do you know what I mean? It was only 2 days ago I was taking the mick out of all my mates that support Man United going, imagine that, you called him a legend all this time, and then I wake up in the morning and all of a sudden he's gone to United. And to be fair, as much as you don't like him going to United, it is a good thing for football because, him going to City, you always saw him as a United legend. So for him to do that, it's a good thing because if you put it in our boots, imagine if Harry Kane went to, Real Madrid 4 years ago, and then it wasn't really working for him at Madrid, and then you find that he wants to come back to England and he's signing for Arsenal or Chelsea. That would drive you mad, wouldn't it? So it's a good thing. But in terms of Harry Kane going to Man City, that's like literally I'll put my mortgage on that. He's not going to happen. It's 4 days. Daniel Levy, as much as we hate him or love him, I don't think he's that stupid. I mean, if City came in with 300 million, then... Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Then you'd be stupid not to take it and then just see what we can do. But I don't see it. And for Harry Kane to come out and publicly say, he hasn't really been public until he's realised that the situation's not going to materialise. So for him to actually come out and say, let's try and be successful with Spurs, I don't think he'd be stupid enough to put that out with knowing the fact that there's a glimmer that he could go over to Manchester. So it won't happen.
Yeah. No, I have to agree with that. And I don't know if you caught it, but did you see Pep Guardiola today? He just reeked of smugness. Yeah, he was like the master of negotiations. What did he say? Harry Kane, his last years in London. That's just like kind of what's the word you want to use? He was just kind of jealous. He was throwing his toys out of his cot in a nice way. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get what he wanted because he claimed that they hadn't even offered anything, which we all know is not the truth. But when I watched him, just listening to it, I just thought, oh, Pep, come on. It was so funny though. But yeah, no, I'm with Jacob. It would have to be 300 million or something for Daniel Levy to even think about, 4 days to go, because he would be crucified, wouldn't he, Daniel Levy? If that happened. If all of a sudden Monday we're sitting here, 11:05. When does the window close? 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock?
Something
Can
like
you
that. Yeah,
imagine?
that's what this.
Like
Yeah.
10, breaking news on Sky Sports News or something. Harry Kane leaves for Man City. Oh my goodness me! That
I don't
would
Right.
think
be,
it'll happen, mate.
yeah,
I don't think it'll
absolutely.
happen. You know what it
Well,
is? The irony of it as well is that I always look at the beautiful arts of football. So it's like, how many times did we end up playing Man City, or we were competing with City, and all Pep what kept going on about was like, oh, it's the Harry Kane team, Harry Kane team. Funnily enough, he's never beat us without Harry Kane. But then, if you're such a great side, why you want to take Harry Kane from the Harry Kane team?
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm saying? Why do you know what I mean? Understandably, he's probably the best striker in the league, but it's like, don't keep going on about the Harry Kane team and kind of ridiculing Spurs for relying on Harry Kane. But effectively, you got all these pundits on Sky Sports now saying that, when we beat them 1-0, the pundits felt sorry for Man City, going, oh, it's clear they need a striker. So it's like, all right, then. So if you take Harry Kane, then you're the Harry Kane team now, then, yeah? You get what I'm saying? There's all that
yeah.
all that money, and you're going to become the Harry Kane team, because if they bought Harry Kane today, we're talking about Man City walking away with it. But because they haven't got Harry Kane, you're looking at United now with Ronaldo. You're looking at Chelsea with Lukaku. Liverpool, for me, are the best team. They're not they might have the individuals, but those players know exactly what they're doing. So for me, Man City are going to struggle without Harry Kane. But then apparently we're the Harry Kane team.
yeah.
I'm happy. I'll stay the Harry Kane team for as long as we can. But Mark, we are the Harry Kane team in Pep's eyes. We are keeping Harry Kane. So now, what do we do with 4 days to go? Do we go out, bring 3 or 4 in? Do we have to bring 3 or 4 more in to make sure that we have a better season than last?
Yeah, I still think we need a playmaker. We just haven't replaced Christian Eriksen yet, have we? Moussa Dembele, Christian Eriksen. We just, we kind of hot Giovanni Lo Celso last night. I thought he was exceptional last night, but then on Sunday I thought he just wasn't there. And you can't have a bit part player. One day very good, one day not so good. So we need a playmaker. I think that's where we need to really look at. I've got to be honest, defending wise, I watched last night. I thought Romero and Dyer were very good together. We haven't conceded a goal this season. The problem that I have is it will be when the window shuts. All of a sudden, that's when we start leaking them, and then we can't get anybody. So for me, I think the most important one is a playmaker. And then maybe I don't know how Dane Scarlett's going to fit in. Is he going to be the backup to Harry Kane? Because we remember Carlos Vinicius isn't there anymore, so we had kind of a backup if anything happened to Kane. So is it going to be Dane Scarlett's time to step up a little bit? They're talking about Adama Traore. He gave us problems last week.
Massive
clearly.
problem.
However, he just can't shoot for toffee, can he?
No, not at all.
He nearly hit the corner post, didn't he, with one of the shots he hit?
Yeah.
But if you put me on the spot, I think creative midfielder, get somebody in like that. And then, I know we've just signed, is it Pape?
Pape Sarr.
But he's staying at Metz, isn't he? But he's supposed to be the next best thing since sliced bread. Apparently everybody was chasing from Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man City were looking at him, Chelsea were looking at him, and I don't know if you heard the news, but the guy flew into Stansted, met Daniel Levy. He was meeting about 4 chairmen, met Daniel Levy, the first chairman to meet, shook his hand, walked away, and he flew straight out. Didn't want to meet any other chairman. He was so impressed with Daniel Levy, apparently. And they signed it up. Yeah, so
Are you sure?
In the future.
Are you sure he was impressed, or do you just?
He's going to learn the hard way.
I'm not meeting another 3 chairmen like this. I'll just stick to this one now. I'm not doing that again.
But listen, from what I gather, he was really impressed and didn't meet up the other chairman, and flew back out, and the deal's done. So I think we've got a great prospect in the future, but it's for the now. We just need to, and now with Sissoko going as well, which I think is great. But yeah, I just think we need for the now. That for me would be the biggest one we need to look at.
Yeah.
I think with creativity, what you were saying there, I think with Nuno, he likes young players, and it's like what I saw of Brian Gill. I don't think Nuno's just going to play him in the Conference League and then just go, right, you're not playing. At some point, he's going to continue with Dele Alli in the box to box, and then Ollie Skip and Højbjerg.
Yeah.
I think from time to time, like for instance, we got Watford at the weekend. I think if he gets to, Watford might sit there and do 2 banks of 4. Now, if it's 2 banks of 4 and we're struggling, even with Harry Kane to score goals or set anything up, I think Brian Gill's a wild card. Like from what I saw, of course, it was weakened opposition, but he's not the same type of player as Eriksen, but he's a type of player like David Silva. Like David Silva wasn't all about through balls. He was more about just getting in the pocket, and he was in that final third and nobody could really touch him. So I think if he uses Brian Gill properly and allows him to develop, if we don't go into the transfer window, that's somebody that, come December, I think people will start putting him in their dream teams, because it'll be somebody that's worth like 2-3 million, and he's, all of a sudden picking up pockets and sorting it out for Tottenham. So I do think we need reinforcements. Definitely. For me, if I could have my own way, I would. Matt Doherty's just not. He just doesn't work. He doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? It's like if in my eyes, we need to go and get rid of Matt Doherty and bring in a player of Trippier's ilk. I used to love Trippier because he had a bad season, but he was reasonable in defence. Going forward, he was brilliant. You just need somebody that, if we're going to play a back 3, let's say, if we're playing a Man City, we're playing a Chelsea, we're playing United with Ronaldo, at some point you've got to reserve yourself and say, let's play a back 5 and have a wing back. Now, Tanganga isn't going to be a wing back. He could probably do the job because he's got the endeavour in his chest, but you need somebody that week in, week out plays that position. So I think if Tottenham got rid of Matt Doherty and brought in somebody that could do what Matt Doherty was doing for Wolves, and probably another centre half, and as much as I like Joe Rodon, might as well send him on loan, because I don't think Nuno likes him. So effectively, we've got 3 centre halves. Like Joe Rodon's not even playing in the Conference League, so I don't think he likes him at all.
He's injured though, isn't he?
Oh, was he injured?
Yeah, he's injured.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was. I thought he was
no,
fit. So.
No, he's injured. He's him and Carter Vickers, but he was injured during pre-season as well. So he's been injured for a while, and that's. I'm with you, but I don't think Doherty goes anywhere. I think if anybody goes, it will be Aurier.
Yeah.
Apparently he's going to Lille, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, that's obviously, he's going to Lille. Sissoko's gone Watford. I know. Yeah. I think I've read that we're close to Mariba, that Barcelona youngster. Today, I think he's 20 million euros, but his agent wants like 10 million euros and the usual stuff. So, but I have read that that's close as well. So, like I say, we are planning for the future, which I love. Yeah. I do love that. Like I say, we've got, if we get Mariba in, we've got Sarr in there, Skip's still young, Scarlett, Alfie Devine, Tanganga, Rodon, Ramiro's. Like I say, we're brilliant for the future, but that's not going to help us if we don't actually go out again. And like Jacob said, get a new right back. Still, we've been linked to Max Aarons now. He started to come the new Leandro. We link with him every summer. So I don't know why we don't go out. Leandro. I still expect to be linked with him every summer. To be honest, I'm not over that one yet. But right, players done. We'll talk about last night for a little bit first before we go into the weekend. I know it was only. Pacos, obviously a weakened team, not what we used to. But Jacob, how nice was it to see Kane get some minutes and Hill back on, Ramiro getting minutes, Ryan Sessegnon back on the pitch. Just players like that. That's what games like that are for. This Conference League, as serious as I want us to take it, it's minutes for Sessegnon, who won't get them in the Premier League over Son or Bergwijn or anyone like that. Is that what you think we're going to use this for this season?
Yeah, I think it's a good catalyst. The first game we played against Paco last week, Ryan Sessegnon, from what I saw of the extended highlights, didn't have a clue what was going on. And then I think with the support of the fans, he looked like he had a better game. He looked hungry as well. I seen there was times he was having a go at some of the senior players because they weren't playing him through, and it looks like on the left-hand side, you know, Brian Gill, Sessegnon having a good little link up on the left-hand side. So it's a good thing, you know. It's you know, as much as I was saying last week, you don't really want to take it serious. I've kind of changed my mind on it. I was agreeing with Patrick last week, saying you don't want to take it serious. But when you look at it, you know, Spurs are a big club in the country, but not as big as, you know, your Chelsea's, your Man City's, your Liverpool. So we got to take what's given to us. We're competing in competition, so you just got to take each competition seriously. You know, if we won the Conference Cup, but then all of a sudden we won the League Cup as well, or an FA Cup, and finished sixth, I'm happy to take a cup and progress, because there's a lot of players in our team, especially world-class players. You know, you've got Harry Kane and Son. If they were going to the teams that I just forementioned, they'd be picking up 3, 4, 5 trophies, and they're at Tottenham getting close. So, you know, I'm not saying Harry Kane's going to pick a Conference Cup up and decide that he doesn't want to go anywhere, but it's nice for team cohesion to lift the trophy. You know, I don't know if you guys play football, but I've played football before, and you know, the trophies that I've won ain't nothing that Harry Kane would even look at. But it's just like when you win a trophy with all your mates and all your pals, and you've worked hard all year, it doesn't matter what caliber the cup is. It's important for team progression to go and win something. You know, you don't want to keep finishing second, third, fourth, and that, you know, if you're a player and you're happy with that, then you're probably not playing for a big club. So if we've got a group of boys that are happy to be runners up, then as much as Tottenham historically are a big club, right now we're not, if players are happy to finish second.
No, definitely. Like I say, it's a new cup. It's a brand new trophy. Yes, it's a third tier European competition, but we're in it. I don't know if, obviously Mourinho's in it with Roma. He won't take this lightly at all. He will see this as a brand new competition. He'll want to have his name down personally as the first manager to win this competition.
He will want us in the final, mate.
Yeah, 100%. But as much as I didn't like him as our manager, that's the mentality I was hoping he would bring to us. Even though, like you say, it's not the Champions League, it's not the Europa League, but he wants to be the first man to win this competition. He wants his name forever known as the first manager to win a new European competition.
Of course.
So why should we take it lightly when we could win this competition? We, in my eyes, obviously are the best team in the competition. We could win it. So why not? Why not, Mark? Why not? How do you look at this competition? Do you think under 23s get a game? Players coming back from injury can get a game, or are you looking at it half and half? First team players in, some fringe players in. See what they look like.
I think from last week, I was one of the pros for it. I think it's a good competition for us. You know, we got a big squad. Don't forget, we're going to have 25, 26 players. And I think we've all played the game at some level. The more you competitive games, the better you become. You know, otherwise, why have a preseason? You know, why not just train? Don't play games, just train. So, you know, they play games because the more you play, the better you become. And I think the problem we had last year, maybe, and the year before, is we did play a lot of our first teams in a lot of the games, especially with Mourinho. He had a set squad. And then you get these other players, the other 12 players that are pretty good. But if they haven't had game time for 2 or 3 months, they're going to come on and be rusty. You know, I looked at last night's game and I thought we could have easily have won that 6-7-0. We hit the bar twice, didn't we? Or the post. There was chances where the keeper had a couple of good saves. You know, but what I liked most about last night, and it's the first time I've seen it in a long time since when Ledley King was with us. Ramiro, did you see him push up with the ball?
Yeah.
I think he wanted to dribble their midfield. He had the ball, and instead of just passing it off, he decided, you know what, I'm going to go with it. And
definitely.
For me, that is amazing. I haven't seen that since when Ledley King used to do that, you know, because Ledley King just, you know, I thought he was one of our most gifted players ever. And if he didn't have 2 dodgy knees, I think he would have been one of England's best ever defenders. You
He
know?
wouldn't have been at Spurs if he didn't have dodgy knees, mate. It's got to be honest.
I see. I disagree. I think he would have stayed because that was just him. He was a Tottenham fan through and through.
Maybe.
But I take the competition seriously. How do I play it? Yeah, I wouldn't always play first because I think other people need to get games like Sessegnon. I didn't think he had a particularly good game last night. I thought he was great down the wing, but his delivery and everything wasn't great. I tell you who was my man in the match was Brian Gill last night.
Yeah.
I thought he was exceptional.
Top notch.
Yeah, I thought he was exceptional. Now, if he can, and I know, we sit here, we go, oh, second rate or third rate. Listen, they 1-0 last week. They came fourth in the Portuguese league. Remember, Mourinho won the Champions League with Porto. So we mustn't sit here and go, oh, the Portuguese league and everything. These guys could beat maybe a Crystal Palace or an Aston Villa or something. So we've got to give them a little bit of credit. So
I was saying about the Portuguese league as well. It's like when you look at the coefficients of the European competitions, the Portuguese league has gone above League One.
Yes,
I think it's England, then it's Germany or Italy or something like that. But basically, it's England, Germany, Spain, France, and England, Germany, Spain. Whether I missed that, and Italy.
Yeah.
Then it's Portuguese sandwich, and then it's the Ligue 1. So you got to think like Messi has gone to the French league, and everybody's saying, "Oh, PSG, this," but he's gone to a weaker league than the team that we're playing fifth against. So effectively, that team finishing fifth is similar to they're basically the Tottenham or the Leicester or the Everton of Portugal. So effectively, we probably would have faced them in the latter stages of the Europa League if it wasn't for the coefficiency.
Yeah, but if you look at last night, I think from Sunday's game there was only 3 starters. So if he mixes the team well, I think, and we can go through all the different competitions. Like you say, if we add 1 or 2 more, remember we haven't seen Tanguy Ndombele, we haven't seen Aria. So if these guys do stay another season, if Tanguy does stay, if we don't get him out, he will have to knuckle down. And if he knuckles down, I think the only reason Nuno's not playing him is because he said, I want to leave. And, Nuno strikes me as the character that if you're not going to be 100% and your mind's not in the right place, I'm not going to play you. And look, he did it to Harry Kane, didn't he?
Rightly so.
We can sit here and go, oh, no, he wasn't fit. He didn't come back. Trust me, I'm telling you, he didn't play because Harry Kane in his mind wanted to leave. And until that was resolved, he wasn't going to play. So when he played on Sunday, when he sat on the bench, I bet you behind the scenes, they knew he was going nowhere. He knew he was going nowhere. So I think it's a great competition. It'd be lovely to win it because a cup is a cup. It will breed confidence. The more games we play throughout the season, so if we're involved in 3 different cups, FA Cup, Carling Cup, or whatever it's called, this Conference Cup, plus the Premier League, I just think it's going to bode well for us. And everybody will get a game. And then, more and more people will be able to fill in positions because we will get injuries.
Yeah, cool. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, what do you think to the travel? Obviously, the group came out today. I think we've got France, the Netherlands, and
Slovenia.
Slovenia, yeah. So it could have been a lot worse. Like I say, the traveling in the Europa League seems a lot more strenuous than this Conference League. So, like I say, you have to. Yeah, I know it sounds daft, but you do have to take these traveling on a Wednesday, getting back on a Friday, game on a Sunday. That is something you have to look into. But France, Netherlands, are you happy with that draw, Jacob? You think that's easy? It's not an easy draw. It's quite difficult. Like I say, it's not the easiest of draw. It's like a Europa League group for me, to be honest. Something we shouldn't struggle with, but a lot harder than some people might think it is.
Yeah, I think the opposition, when I look at it, is probably harder than the travelling. Like Rennes, a decent outfit in France. They've had a few results in the past against PSG and a Marseille and a Lyon at home. So, I wouldn't take them too lightly. Vitesse as well, you wouldn't be surprised. There's probably about 4 Chelsea players that they've got on loan.
Yeah, usually
it's basically going to be playing Chelsea's C team. And Slovenia, it's about probably about 2-3 hour flight. So the travelling isn't the one. I just don't think we should underestimate any of the teams. I think doing what we did in the first leg against Paco should never be done again. Just literally chucking in a load of people. It should just be a mix and match, because we're always going to have players that are going to need to increase their fitness. You got someone like Harry Winks, who yesterday had a good game, but if he wasn't playing in that competition and then we had to play Man United or Arsenal and then this is his first game in, he's going to struggle. So he's going to be happy for that game time. You're going to have someone like Lascelles that needs to pick up his form in them games. Brian Gill, who's young. So I'm glad that we ain't got to travel that far. But at the same time, if we've all got to travel as a squad, I'd rather, mix and match. So it's like, if we're going to play away games, either play Kane or Son, play either Moira or Bergwijn, just make sure that there's players that if they've had a tough game against a Man City, or it doesn't matter, in the Premier League, you could have a tough game against Watford. Just allow them to have their time to rest and develop and get ready for the next game.
Definitely. Mark, you happy with that draw, mate?
Yeah, I think so. You look at Rennes, they came 6th in the French league. I think, is it Arnhem? They came, 4th or something in or 5th in the Dutch league. And the Slovenian guys, I think they won their league. So they won their Premier League, and I don't know how hard it is, but like Jacob said, they must probably really low down on the cohorts of where they are in European football. But yeah, I think, like you say, you play on a Thursday night. I think our away leg's always an hour earlier, so I think they get clearance to fly anyway, don't they? So sometimes they come back. And what's the flight? An hour flight. So they will be tucked up in bed by 2-3 o'clock on Friday morning at the lodge. Their nice water beds that rattle and make them fall asleep with the yin and the yang. I think going to those two, Slovenia, I don't know how far that is away, but 4 or 5 hours maybe at most. I'm happy with the draw, but like Jacob says, don't take them lightly. You don't come 6th in the French league and 4th or 5th in the Dutch league because you're not good enough, So we've got to be careful. We've still got to go there and give them the respect that they due. But I thought last night was very good. I thought, like we brought on Sonny for 15 minutes. We brought on Delhi for 8 minutes, and it just keeps that freshness. So they are still playing 1.5 times a week. They're not getting, they've still got a lot of game time and I go back to that fitness. I read somewhere that the guys are saying they're a lot fitter this season or they feel a lot fitter this season than they did last season with Jose Mourinho. Because Jose wasn't very, he was very old school. He believed in tactics rather than pure fitness. Whereas the younger managers, it's all about sports science now, isn't it? And fitness. And Pochettino, for me, was the best at it. And you could see, if you go back to is it 15-16 or 16-17 season, you have a look how many games we were losing. And then by the 70th, 75th minute, that's when we started to win the games because we just were so much fitter than other teams. And I think we caught a lot of teams by surprise. And looking at the teams, the first 3 games, we do look a lot fitter. Dyer looks fitter. Dele Alli looks fitter. These guys just look fitter. So, I think we might be I've got this gut feeling we're going to be the surprise package this season.
Oh, I hope so, Mark. It would be nice to actually do something, but that's what we'll go on to next, lads. 2 from 2. 2 clean sheets in the Premier League. A good chance on Sunday, obviously, newly promoted Watford. How much money, Jacob, are you putting on a 2-0 Watford win? Danny Rose, Musa Sissoko goal. Away.
If I'm honest, like when I saw that Musa Sissoko signed today, I thought, right, so he'll probably be out of that game. I don't think he would have signed in time to play on Sunday. I'm not too sure, but
they've said he's available to play.
He's available
to play. Yeah.
So it's like Watford. I wouldn't say they're our rivals, but they're Arsenal. Besides, they're up the road, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of them ones, man. Like shout out to Sissoko. Everybody's cussed him and says he can't pass, he doesn't score enough goals. But I remember under Pochman, there was a lot of games where he played right wing, he played right wing back, and their positions he doesn't even want to play. And he played centre midfield. And I think the pressure on him to replace Moussa Dembele probably got to him, but then he probably wanted to replace Dembele, but then got put out to right wing. So for a lot of his time at Spurs, he was playing in the positions he didn't want to play. But there was a lot of games where I rated him. When we played Ajax and got that miracle result, he was brilliant then with Wanyama. There's times where we've played Man City, Arsenal, and he's just dug in and run around and won the ball. So, for me, if he plays on Sunday, with our midfield, they got to be careful because he is a fitness freak. He is really fit. He's just technically he's not great. But I think with Harry Kane, signing up again, Son being fresh, Dele Alli, I think we'll win. But you know how it is with Tottenham. It would just be one of those where we'll win and we'll breathe easy. I was watching parts of Wolves Spurs the other day, and it's just never comfortable. But when you get the win, you're over the moon. But I don't think Watford will win. If they do, fair play to them. But I think it'll be 2-1 for a very long period in the game, and we'll nick it at the end. 3-1, I reckon.
Yeah, Mark, how do you see that game going Sunday?
Yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll win 3-0. I haven't got a problem with Sissoko if he had to play. I don't think he will play because I think in his contract they won't allow him to play, especially today. And especially for the fee he's gone for. What's he gone for? £3 million or something, or £4 million with some add-ons. So I don't think Daniel Levy he's probably gone. Yeah, we'll sell you to him, but he can't play against us on Sunday. And fair play. It's going to be an easier game then, and because we're at home, I see kind of a 3-0 win. Harry Kane on fire again, Sonny on fire. I just think our home form is going to be an absolute fortress this season. When you hear those fans from the last time we were there, even last night. So I'm very comfortable with this. I respect them. I think they are half decent side, but yeah, I'm not too worried about them. I don't think Danny Rose will come and bite us on the bum. I have no, I'm not looking at it like that. I think it'll be quite a comfortable 3-0 win. I think we'll have a lot of possession, and I think we'll just have too much for them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going for a 2-0 win myself. So, and I do think Harry Kane will get both as well. I do see him starting. I think he'll come in for Lucas. I think that's why Lucas played so long yesterday. I think he's the one who's going to drop out, and you'll have Kane, Son, and Bergwijn up top. But I've saved these last 20 minutes for the Wolves win. Mark, Adama Traore had his Mbappe running skills against us, but his Roberto Soldado finishing at the same time. So, how did that game go for you, Mark?
We started off well, didn't we? I thought, we scored. I thought we were passing the ball around, and I thought it was pretty good. And then once we scored, we were waxing lyricals over Tanganga the week before, how he had Sterling in the pocket, he had Grealish in his pocket and everything. And then Traore had us in his pocket, didn't he? The man's a beast. I'm just glad that he can't shoot. One of his shots hit the corner post. I think Hugo Lloris did a worldie again, or he just kicked it straight at Hugo. But the power that guy has, and the speed. How did it go? Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, that one was. I do think, though, when Harry Kane came on, as soon as the game changed. And then they started to go back. And I think they became more frightened and then when you see Harry Kane start to drop and some of the passes, I thought 15 minutes ago there was only going to be one winner, and that was us. Steven Bergwijn again. I think he's having a great season so far, but that chance he had, he puts that away 2-0. I think it's game over.
Yeah,
got to start scoring. That's where I have my bigger issue, where we don't score, I think good win, but nervy win. It felt a little bit like last season again.
Yeah, Jacob, it did. It felt just like last season, but the difference for some reason this season is Dyer and Sanchez. Although their distribution's not great, when they're on the ball playing out from the back, sometimes you think, oh God, just hit it long and we'll go for it, even though we don't want to play like that. But the defending for these first two games has been unreal. They look like different defenders. What's the difference for you with them?
You know what it is? For me, it's like, Mourinho is one of the best coaches we've ever had. Well, the football's ever had, so to speak. But I've played centre half before. Now, if you're playing centre half and everybody's dropping deep, it's like you're basically allowing pressure. So it's like, if you've got Dyer and you've got Sanchez, who have got a mistake in them, you're literally saying to the team, come on, get the mistakes out of me. Whereas if you press, like Liverpool do, like Man City do, then it gets to the point, if you press, then if Harry Kane's pressing and the forward line's pressing and the midfield's pressing, you're going to get less mistakes out of our defenders, because if you press properly and articulate, then you might get to the point where you ain't even got to do no defending, because by the time he's got to Højbjerg, he's swept up, pass the ball back, and we're on a counter attack. Whereas if you're sitting back and you're allowing people to just go through the phases, then it's only going to get to the point where 1, 2, 3 passes gets to Dyer and Sanchez, and as much as they might have defended well for 70% of the game, 30% they've made mistakes because you've just allowed the opposition to come through. When we watched Spurs last season, it's horrible. Like, I don't understand how Mourinho thought we were going to win games week in, week out without any form of press. And when we did press, when there was that one time we'd be under pressure and he'd say, right, press. So do you remember when we played Man United? That game, I remember sitting there with one of my best friends who's a United fan, and we were pressing. So I was sat there thinking, well, it probably caught me off guard. And then fair enough, they got Martial sent off, but we just kept pressing and beat them 6-1 at Old Trafford. But then that was the last time I saw us press.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That was the last time I saw us press pretty much all season. It's like, you've got to press. You look at Liverpool. Liverpool are the...
Wasn't the game after the West Ham one, though? The game after that was the West Ham game, wasn't it? Where we were 3-0 up and 3-3, and I think then that's when Mourinho just went...
It's too much.
Wow, we're pressing now.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So it's like we played West Ham, absolutely battered them. We're 3-0 up after 20 minutes. Now, if you kept pressing them, it could have been 6-0 at half time. But it got to the point where Mourinho was like, no, this is too much. It's giving me a headache. And then you literally said to West Ham, we're 3-0 up, attack us. And then fortunately for them, they attacked us.
Yeah.
And I gave them full credit for bringing that game back, because we allowed them to. Liverpool, you see Liverpool, when they won the league, they won it at a canter, because they could be playing Burnley and 4-0 up. And we all know Burnley ain't capable of scoring 4 goals away, but they just keep chopping away at them to the point where half them players at Burnley probably gave up because the press was just too much. You got to press in this type of football. And Nuno at Wolves had the balance. You could play Wolves and they'd sit in, but at the same time they'd press, they'd counter attack. So I'm happy with what Nuno's doing right now. I just hope it continues.
Yeah,
we've got nothing to complain about so far. But like the comment said from This Is Football TV about Adama Traore, Mark, is he someone that you would want us to spend these next 4 days pursuing, putting in bids, trying to get him, or would you move on to someone different?
I think 40 million for somebody that can't score goals. He can run, but no, I don't think he's the one that I want at the moment. I would rather look at other options. On his day, he's unplayable when he's running, but I don't think that's where we're looking for now. I'd rather go look more at a not a centre half, but a creative midfielder. I think now that we've got Brian Gill, I think we've got Steven Bergwijn who can run just as quick, maybe not as quick. But I think Bergwijn, when he gets his shooting boots on, he can certainly score. We got Lucas Moura as well, who's quite quick. Now that Kane's back and staying with us, yeah, I wouldn't get, and I won't say he's waste. He's more. If we had who we wanted and we had another 40 million that we could get him, for me he'd be that luxury. That would just kind of put the icing that we could use him on certain games where we would scare defenders. Me on Sunday, and I'm sure he scared Tanganga and people. But I've got to give I just jump in there. I've got to give Dyer credit and I've got to give Sanchez credit. They haven't let a goal in yet. But you're right in what you're saying when you say there's a mistake in them. Did you see that mistake that Dyer made? I think it was somewhere around the 70th minute on the halfway line.
Yeah,
we didn't get punished, did we? Mm-hmm. But most of the times we get punished on those. What I would like to see is, and I'd love to see on Sunday, him start with Romero and Dyer. Because, like I said earlier, last night when I watched, the way Romero gets the ball, instinctively, his first thing is not to pass it, but he's instinctively to draw somebody to him and then give it to somebody. So take the ball forward. At the moment, we've got our back four or back three and then our wing backs. We don't wait people to come to us. We start passing. So we're never kind of overlapping anybody, So by the time we get to the second phase and the third phase, they've got 5 or 6 people there. And it makes it more difficult. Yeah. And if I'm very honest, look at how many goals did we score with our heads last year? We didn't, out of what did we score? 60 goals last year, 55 goals last year. If we scored 10 with our heads, it would have been a lot. So, we need to play the ball on the ground. So I like the partnership of Romero and Dyer so we can bring the ball out and then bring players onto us. And then, we can use people like Kane, people like Dele Alli, and get them more involved, But no, going back, Traore, luxury for me. We don't really need him right now, in my opinion.
Jacob, same for you?
It's weird because with Traore, I agree with what Mark's saying. I'm not going to sit there and say Mark's talking rubbish because I actually agree with what Mark's saying. But at the same time, with Traore, what it is that when he's in your lineup, so say for instance he's at Spurs, it's like just having Traore. I wouldn't want Traore at Tottenham for the end product. I wouldn't want him there for the goals. I wouldn't even want him there for the assists. It's that if you've got Traore on the right wing, so let's say right wing, left wing, no matter where he's playing, and he replaces Bergwijn or Moura, right? So let's just imagine he's on the right wing and he replaces Moura. So he comes in 40 million. Now, if you're playing Tottenham and he's on the right wing, it doesn't matter what team you are in the Premier League, you're probably committing 2 or 3 players to deal with him because you know that he's going to run past any fullback in the league. So imagine if we're playing Man United, right? Luke Shaw is one of the best fullbacks in the league. But if you've got Adama Traore, all of a sudden, Luke Shaw will admit, I need a hand there. So then all of a sudden, if they've got Jadon Sancho or Rashford on the left wing, he draws that left winger, he draws Rashford into the game, but then he also brings a Fred or McTominay in. So all 3 of them are trying to deal with Traore. Now, if Traore is just standing there and he's not having the best game, but all 3 of them are trying to deal with it, all he's got to do is do the simple thing. Draw them players in, play it in midfield to, a Dele Alli, and all of a sudden Dele Alli looks up and there's Kane Son and it's 3-on-2 because Traore is playing. For me, I think we should bring him in, not for the stats. I don't know, I'm not a stats man, but I wouldn't want him in to score 10 goals and 15 assists. I just want him in because he draws 3 players out of position, no matter who we play. Man City played against Wolves. They dedicated 3 players. I went to Wolves 2 seasons ago. Harry Kane was dropping off and fouling him.
Yeah.
He's sent him off and he was fouling him. Everybody was chipping in to foul him because it's just like, he's a problem. So for me, 40 million in the grand scheme of things, go and get him. He draws in anyone. So it's like if we're playing Man United next week, they've got Ronaldo. Ronaldo's arguably the best player in the world. But at the same time, Ollie would be like, right, we've got Ronaldo, but what we're going to do with Traore? Whereas at the minute, I don't think Ollie would do that with any of our players apart from Harry Kane. So he'd rather have a Harry Kane. Imagine Harry Kane. We all know he's going to bag goals. You got Son, bags goals. Traore might not bag goals, but it's just like Man United in their camp will be more worried about what he's going to do because he probably doesn't even know what he's going to do himself.
No, definitely. I'm exactly the same, Jacob. I wouldn't want us to go for him because he's going to come in and he's going to beat his man, put the ball straight on Kane's head, get 15 assists, go and get us 10 goals. He does bring a different element to a game that we, especially with how we look again under Nuno, we're going for the counter-attacking system again. Who better in this league to have on the counter-attack than Adama Traore? We'd probably have to change our own system because eventually teams won't push that far up against us because he is on the halfway line waiting to get the ball. So we will again have to change us. But like you say, when we play Arsenal at the end of September and we have a Traore right wing, Arteta will probably go 3 at the back for that game. So we will have Tavares, the new lad that Nuno Tavares at left back, Tierney at centre back, and Xhaka. Their 3 roles will be stop Adama Traore.
But there you go.
Well, if Xhaka's pulled out, then there's some space for Dele Alli or Højbjerg if he decides to push up. If Tierney pulls out from centre back, there's space for Kane to attack or Son to attack. So I agree massively. 40 million sounds like a lot for a guy with his numbers, but like you say, I think the game focuses too much on numbers now. Far too. It's all about stats now.
We spent 60 million on Dembele. So if we sold Dembele and bought in Traore and had 20 million change, I'm all over that.
Definitely,
all over it.
Definitely. But we've got 4 days, so we'll see what we could do. Mark, who was my man in a match against Wolves? Personally, was Reguilon. I think that's his best game for us in months. Obviously, he didn't have Adama Traore to deal with. He had Trincao, so similar speed, similar size. Who are you going for your man in the match?
I just because he played his 300th game, I think Hugo Lloris. I thought he played a decent game. I thought Reguilon played very well. I thought there was a couple of decent performances. I thought Lucas had one of his offy games. You know, I didn't think Son was on top of it, but I did hear during his warm up he had to go back in early, and then I noticed he had some things on his hamstring. So I tend to agree with you. Outfield players, I would say Reguilon, even maybe Sanchez, because I didn't see Sanchez put a foot wrong. Dyer had a couple of 1 or 2 things, but I thought Sanchez was quite solid. But for me, I'm going to give it to the skipper. You know, he did a couple of great saves where he needed to, and he just seemed assured. And it was his 300th cap, and loyalty for me is just everything in this game.
I'll add on to that for you, Mark. His distribution, these first 2 games, his early kicks out from his hands. How much better are they at the minute? Because he seems to find Bergwijn or Lucas one-on-one every time. We haven't seen that from him, really. He usually holds on to the ball.
But remember, Nuno's an ex-goalkeeper, isn't he? So so that's where maybe you're going to see a lot more where Nuno gets involved with that. But you're absolutely right. His distribution has been so much better the last few games. And maybe that's I don't know who is our goalkeeping coach now. Is it the same guys that were at Wolves?
Yeah, he would have brought them with him. Yeah,
because Wolves had
he brought the old coaching staff.
Keeper, don't they?
They had Rui Patricio, didn't they?
Yeah, he's a decent keeper. But can I just go back onto your Traore, because I know you both agree with Traore and everything, and I just want to, so for me, you asked me, would I go with Traore right now? For me, I'm still going to say no, because I look back at the last, and I'm not a stats man either, because stats would tell me Harry Kane's the best number 9 in the world, wouldn't he? If you looked at stats. But he plays for Tottenham.
Apart from Lewandowski,
but what I want to say with Traore is he can run anybody. I get that. And when he's playing, yeah, you must probably put a second person on him to bring him down. But if you look at the top 6, nobody's gone for him. If he's so feared in the Premier League, why have Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal even, man, why haven't they gone for him if he's so feared? Because if you look, Wolves, when did they have their best season? 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, where they finished, what was it, 9th? 8th or 9th?
I think they finished 7th, didn't they?
Oh, did they? Did they make the what's the name?
They made the Europa League, didn't they? So
they made the Europa League. Sorry, yes. And that's when they were on fire with, when Coutinho, the young lad that's at Liverpool now, when they had their centre forward, when he was on song and everything. So, I still stand by, yeah, he's very quick and everything. But if he's only going to bring speed to me, I think we've got that in abundance now. You look at our front 3. Take Kane out there. The last few games, our front 3, they're as quick as anybody in the Premier League at the moment. When you look at Lucas Moura, Steven Bergwijn, they are really quick. Take Kane out because Kane's not the quickest in the world. However, he's got the brain. But yeah, I don't think he's the type of player. I would take a more creative midfielder than Traore right now, because I think we've got all the other departments. And that's why I go back. If we had a spare 40 million, I would take him. And somebody just said, I think he would make a great super sub. Or certain teams that we play again, he could start and do 60 minutes for us. But I don't think it's what we need right now. That's just, my opinion, And that's why these shows are so great, because we all have different opinions, don't we?
Exactly that. I literally took the words out of my mouth, mate.
Yeah, everyone has their own opinion. The only difference, I think, for us, I would say, Mark, is apart from Chelsea now with Lukaku, nobody's got a Harry Kane that scores goals. So Adama brings something different to us, whereas Arsenal or a Man U or a City would rely on an attacking wide player to bring goals to mix up with everybody else, whereas our striker brings 25, 30 goals. Man City, they haven't even got a striker, so we don't. Their goals are 10 for De Bruyne, 12 for Sterling.
Gundogan was the top goal scorer last season, wasn't he?
That's what I mean. Arsenal, obviously, Aubameyang last year weren't firing. Chelsea have just got Lukaku. Man uses Bruno.
And they got Ronaldo now. We'll take Man United out of it now, mate.
I'll take Man U and Chelsea out of it. That's fine. I'll take them. But like I say, I just feel like with Kane in the team as well, he would have more freedom to play his game rather than feel pushed or feel the need to actually go and get double-digit goals. And because what he doesn't get, Kane and Son are picking up anyway.
Yeah,
but like I say,
go on.
Yeah, no,
go on, Jacob. No, I was going to say that if you remember the one time where everybody started realizing that Adama Traore was getting stats is because he was setting up Raul Jimenez. So it's like if when Nuno, funny enough, Nuno played Jimenez and Traore up front together, and that's when I think there was a point in his career where I think he had 5 goals and 7 assists in about 10, 12 games. And a couple of them were against Man City. And it's because he was playing up front with Jimenez. As soon as Jimenez got his unfortunate injury, he won't get any assists. But then when you think about it, imagine he's getting in them positions and he's trying to cross the ball. Who is it? The only attacking player that he had of any ilk that was going to help him out was Pedro Neto, who was another winger. So that's probably the reason why his stats ain't... I'm not saying that's an excuse, but if he's got Harry Kane in the middle, he could probably mess up a cross and still get an assist.
My concern is Wolves' best season in the last 4 years. One of the best assist kings we bought, and he's turned out to be a bit of a flop, hasn't he? In Doherty, how many assists did he get in their best season? I think 9. And everybody, I'll be honest with you, when he came to us before he even played a game, I think I was also one saying, "Oh, he's a good signing. This is going to be great." wow, he's had so many assists. He plays wing back. He gets up there. He crosses a lot. He doesn't really cross much, does he? And when he does cross, they're pretty poor crosses as well. It's like, come on, hit something, So
Really?
so that's my only worry is that he would come and that. And listen, I got to say he's very quick, and he did have Tanganga in his pocket. But I think when you've got some serious defenders, people that like maybe even a Romero or somebody or some of the better defenders that the league has from like the Man Cities, like Diaz and all that. And remember, Diaz will know him because they play for Portugal, don't they? Or is he Portuguese or Spanish?
Who's this?
Oh, right, sorry. So
Spanish,
when they come against the better, I think they just have a plan for him. And I think when he first came, he broke in. He was unplayable, because he was just so quick. But I think nowadays, like Grealish, look at Grealish, most fouled player in the Premier League. Why? Because 3 people go for him and just take him out and stop the game, and they just stop whatever he's good at. And then when they don't, that's when you see kind of man of the match performances from him,
Yeah.
So listen,
Yeah.
if he comes, he comes. I wouldn't be sitting here going, oh damn, oh no. But if he doesn't come, I'm not also going to be sitting here going, oh damn, we missed out. So I'm sitting on the fence there. If he comes, lovely. If he doesn't, we'll move on.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've got just one more question to ask you both. Obviously, heading into the Watford game, I've got your predictions. But Jacob, do you see any changes? Do you see Kane starting, Romero, Brian Hill? Do you see much, or do you think we'll start with the same squad that's won the last 2 games?
That's a good question. I've never thought of that. I think, not saying Nuno's a wimp or anything, but if you're Nuno, you'd be stupid not to play Harry Kane. He just banged 2 goals. If we beat Watford and beat them properly, if we go and beat Watford, if it's one of those ones where we go and spank them, then you could go into the international break top of the league. And if you're not top of the league by goal difference, you're top of the league by points. Liverpool and Chelsea are playing each other. Man City have already dropped points. So have United. Leicester have dropped points. So effectively,
could be us and West Ham.
Yeah, depending on what happens, West Ham. I'll look to West Ham and Crystal Palace. If I remember correctly, that game always seems to be a draw or a Palace win. Now, I'd like to side with West Ham because West Ham plays some wicked football. But if West Ham drop points, Liverpool and Chelsea are playing each other. Man City and Arsenal, Man City should win that. But even if they do, they've still dropped points in the season. So for me, if there's any drop points on Saturday, Nuno would be stupid to think, oh, you know what, I'm going to show that I'm bigger than Harry Kane. Just put Harry Kane in. He'll probably replace him with Bergwijn. Unfortunately, that's what managers do. You're just going to look at the nice guy and go, don't worry about it, mate, And it'd be Bergwijn or Moira. One of them, they'll be fighting for the right-hand side. Son will go back to where he plays on the left. Dele will be playing. So I think that's the only change that would be made. It'd be Kane for a winger. Romero would make sense because we've bought him for 55 million. He's meant to be our next big defender. So, if we don't play him now, when you're going to play him? So, if I'm honest, I'd rather him play with Sanchez because Sanchez has got the pace. He's had 3 really good games, and him and Romero speak the same language. So I wouldn't want Eric Dyer saying, mate, push up, and then he don't understand what he's saying. I'd rather Sanchez say to him, I don't know what push up means in Spanish, but I'd rather Sanchez be saying it than Eric Dyer saying it in his accent. So I'd probably go Romero for Sanchez, not because Dyer's played badly, but just for the language barrier. You've got Reguilon as well, who's a left back, and he's also Spanish speaking. So I'd rather that go ahead. And at least I'm not underestimating Watford, but I'd rather us put the players that we're going to see as important for the season in this game rather than us come back from the internationals and try them. I think we've got Palace away after the internationals. So I'd rather us let Romero have a sing-song at home in front of the fans and have a good game. and Harry Kane come back and go into the internationals, hopefully have a good time with England, and then we're going to Palace knowing that we've won 3 out of 3.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's not. It's I think after the international break, it's the 3 London. Obviously, with Watford as well, we've got 4 London derbies: Watford, Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal as the next 4 games. So, Mark, any changes for you? Like I said, Kane, Ramiro.
Yeah, I would start Kane. I think it's a no-brainer. He's your talisman. He looks hungry last night. He looked superb, didn't he? It looked like he had his scoring boots on, and he's back to himself again. On Sunday, I thought it was brilliant when he finished the game. Did you see him go around to all the fans? So I think he loves the club. He really does, and I think all is forgiven. I think there might be a few that think, "Oh, what he did was that," but for me, let's just get on and play football. So yeah, I would definitely start him. I'd keep Sonny in there, depending on his injury. If we do find out that he has got a bit of a strain, maybe Sonny won't start, and then you would have maybe Lucas and Bergie on there, or even maybe Gill after Thursday night's performance, depending. I think the biggest one for me will be you play Dyer Sanchez, you play Dyer Ramiro, or Sanchez Ramiro. Now, I see Dyer playing more left centre back than, because Sanchez and Romero do the right side of it, don't they? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if if you would see Sanchez and Romero together. They both seem to be right-footed, so that would be my only thing. And listen, I've got to take my hat off to Dyer. He's come back more mature. He's come back. I think he wants to play for England again. So I think, he's gunning to play. I think he was gutted to miss out in the Euros. And now we've got a World Cup next year. I think he wants to make that team. So I think he's out to prove that he is good enough for this. So if it was me picking the team, I would go the same as Thursday. I'd go Romero and Dyer. Put Romero in. They're Copa America champions. He plays with some of the best forwards on the planet when he plays for Argentina. He knows he knows the Celso's game as well. So the way he links up, and I saw a lot of that last night. When he was bringing the ball forward and passing it on to Lo Celso in the mid. Tanganga, I would keep there. Reguilon, Loris will come back. I don't think Lo Celso will play, because I think he'll go with, and this is where I think he'll go with Højbjerg and Skip. So we don't have that creative there, But then at least now we've got Kane that can drop back, and that's what happened on Sunday against Wolves. As soon as Kane came on, he kind of dropped back, and maybe people, as soon as Kane gets the ball, everybody. He's like the next Jack Grealish or Adama Traore, where 5 players want to attack Kane and get the ball off Kane, because they know how lethal he is, whether he's scoring or whether he's passing, because he can ping a ball, 60 yards and hit you, Yeah. So I think there might be 1 or 2 changes. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. I think he'll start Dele Alli again, because he's been pretty good. But I see a comfortable 3-0 win, in my opinion. We at home, I think, with our fans, and I just think our home place is going to be a fortress. I think what we need to try and do is win away from home. If we can, like what Pochettino did, when was it? 15-16 or 16-17, we had quite a good run away. If we can do that, I think, we could really do well this season. But yeah, I would start Kane, and maybe 1 or 2 tweaks, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, gentlemen, thank you again for coming on to this week's episode of Grounded Football Tottenham. Jacob, do you want to let everyone know where they can get you?
Yeah, so, we're going into the international break afterwards, guys. So if you see the links at the bottom, the one up top, and at Jay Shigsy, so those are my Instagram names. I'll have a Twitter name next time, if Ryan lets me on the show again. So just keep an eye on that. He'll be talking about Tottenham and just football in general. I'll spend all my days talking about football. So it'd be good to get back out there. I started something last year as a trial. Now I'm going to take it proper serious. So if you take the links down, get a pen and paper and write them down, and then, you'll see more of me coming up soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get them plugged up on Twitter for you as well. Mark,
Thank you.
you want to let everyone know where to get you?
Yeah, you just see me on Twitter at Gillingsm, talking lots about football when I can, when I'm not working, when I'm not running around chasing my girls around.
What type of girls are they?
Being a father to a 6 and 10-year-old.
Oh, that's all right. Your daughters, yeah.
So it's you can hit me up there. But yeah, just love talking Spurs, so anybody wants to interact and everything. And yeah, love to be on next week when we win 3-0, 4-0 or something like that.
I hope you're right, mate.
Let's keep this run going. You know what I mean? It'd be lovely to go into the international break at the top, won't it? I've got a barbecue next weekend, and all my wife's family are West Ham fans, so I want to dress my daughters up in their Spurs kit, and I want to go around this barbecue. That would just make my day, wouldn't it? And like you say, top of the league, that kind of thing.
You know what I mean? You could go to your barbecue, mate, and start offering everybody Bergwines instead of burgers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much, gents, and everyone who's watched, thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. First 11, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Find us anywhere you want. So until next week, guys, good night.